I think my video froze. I'm doing ocean currents and the marine life, the movements of marine life. First thing I want to do is explain like the ocean currents. Ocean currents are controlled by the rotation of the Earth. What is it called? Prevailing winds, and then the water density as well, and then the size of the continents. I did a little drawing, kind of. So this is the equatorial. You got the northern, this is the counter, and this is the southern one. So anything north, the currents will go in a clockwise motion, and anything south will go in a counterclockwise motion. Also, what's really cool is the Earth has a conveyor belt ocean where all the water is cycled through the entire world. And usually, how it goes is it comes from the Pacific. It goes through the Aquarius, the Mozambiques. It comes through in between Africa and South America and goes up into the Gulf Stream and the Kahari current. It comes back down. It goes back down between South America and Africa and cycles back through all the way over to the Pacific Ocean, and just it keeps moving. One of the coolest things is species move 5 times faster when they're in the ocean current than they actually do on land, and a lot of effects to the actual currents is due to CO2 level raise, like CO2 temperature raises. If it raises the water temperature, it causes a lot of the ecosystem to move. So you'll see where fish that are from the tropical regions, they move north because they want to go to cooler water, because they don't know how to adapt to a warmer climate in the water. You'll see sometimes like turtles, they adapt pretty well, they adapt quickly, but usually smaller fish in the tropical regions, they don't really adapt well and then become extinct. One of the coolest streams that everybody knows about is the Gulf Stream. A lot of the Europeans, they love the Gulf Stream because of what it does. It's currently one of the largest streams. Is 10,000 kilometers long. It's the fastest one. It moves at moves 2 meters per second, so it's pretty fast. And then the countless species rely on this current because they'll come through here, off the Gulf Stream, and go up to the Northern Atlantic Drift, and then Norwegian Drift, and Labrador. They go into the Greenland area, as like whales and turtles and sharks too. They all go to this area. So if Europe didn't have the Gulf Stream, Europe would be 5 to 10 degrees colder than it is now, just because this water with the sun and the equator, the sun heats up this water so much that it pushes forward and into the colder areas and warms up that water until eventually it gets up to Greenland, where it's like cooled off, and it goes into one of the biggest, I forget the name of the waterfall, it's one of the biggest waterfalls in the world, and it's underwater. So one of the biggest things that determines the current's movement is the water density. So you got wind that pushes the top of the water. So you'll see if you see waves, that's due to the prevailing winds, they push it. But anything below it is the water density. So if it's warm water, it moves up, and if it's cold water, it drops due to the acidity and the salt salinity. It determines whether it goes up or it goes down. Just looking, and then that one's called thermohealing circulation. Let's see, something like that. And also too, with the currents is with the thermohealing circulation, you have the upwelling and you have the downwelling. So the upwelling brings all the organic matter they need on the top surface of the earth. The water. So it brings it up. I can draw that. Very quick. So upwelling. So this would be case for upwelling. So you got the organic matter that's on the bottom of the ocean. This is brought up to the surface, the top water, and this would be a warm current or warm water that moves up, obviously, and this gives life to the marine life that's on the top of the water. It needs this organic matter to survive. So then you have, that was upwelling, and then you have downwelling. Downwelling is really important as well. So it's essentially the opposite of upwelling. Here you have obviously the ocean, but it brings oxygen-rich surface water to the bottom of the ocean, and it gives the deep ocean oxygen-rich water that needs it, and it keeps the anaerobic bacteria from eating up everything in the bottom. If it ate up everything in the bottom, everything would die out, and it kills a lot of the species down there. It's kind of funny too. I learned that 250 years ago, the water oceans became still due to downwelling, and downwelling didn't happen anymore, and they became stagnant, so the water didn't move at all. This wiped out 95% of the marine life in the ocean itself, and it was known as one of the greatest extinctions in Earth's history. So with the currents as well, a lot of the marine life uses the currents to survive in oceans. You have the small plankton and species that use the currents just to kind of ride out. They just like Finding Dory or Finding Nemo. They just ride it out, and it gets them away from danger. Especially if they have a predator, they use the currents to get out of the area. And then you have those guys, and then you have the guys that just ride the stream to find the little guys, their prey. They look for them the entire time. And then you have the sharks, the turtles, and then sea turtles, and then the whales that use the Gulf Stream to move around the ocean, the entire world, actually, because it's actually very difficult for them to find any food, so they have to use the currents to move to different areas all the time in order to find their food. Also, too, humpback whales, they rely on upwelling to find krill. So humpback whales will use the Gulf Stream or other streams as well to go north or south to the poles, and they will find krill. So upwelling really, the whales thrive on upwelling, so they really expect a lot of food to come through. But that's just a little bit about currents and the marine life that use focus on currents to go through and find ocean food and all that. But thank you for watching.